Okay, so let's start with a pretty simple feature then. So we now have a password strength meter that we can add to a password field. So if I go ahead and add a password box to this form right here, I can go under validation and simply select show password strength. When I build this form then, I get a nice password strength meter that reacts to the values that I type in. If you have something where you're creating a login system, for example, this is an incredibly useful way to make sure that your users are typing in complex and powerful passwords. Another fantastic new feature is the ability to use beautiful, stunningly awesome full screen background images. So to use it, all I have to do is select my page, and I'm going to go in my page properties. I'm going to click upload background image. From my documents, I'm going to select my cherry blur image. I'll say open. Now, if I build this form as is, the background images is going to be confined to the original width of the screen. Of course, we don't want that. We want it to be a full screen image. When I select that now my image is spanning the entire width of the form. And as you can see here now, we have this beautiful background image. Of course, we usually want to be able to center our form when we do this. So with a few extra tweaks here, let me go ahead and center the form. Maybe change my background text right here to white for both of these fields. And make the font size a little bit bigger. Now I have a nice centered form for my users, and it looks stunning. Another great feature is the ability to preview gradients right within the editor now. So if I have a headline element, as I do right here, let's say I made the text a little bit bigger, we could always apply a background gradient, but now as you can see, it actually previews in real time for us. So I can go ahead and tweak my gradient, get it looking exactly the way I want, so that when I build my form, the gradient acts and behaves exactly the way I expect it to. It's a real nice time saver. So another great new feature is the ability to toggle mobile version on or off. This is mostly about saving time and space on the server. So if you're on a slower connection or a shared host, building a mobile version is essentially building your form twice. Therefore, we now give you the ability to turn that off so that when you're building your form, your builds happen much, much faster. So here's a feature I absolutely love. So in RackForms, we've long had the ability to set conditional form items, which means that we give them some logic so that they only fire when certain conditions are met. So for example, I have this text box right here called text2, and let's say I only want to send this email right here if text is equal to, let's say, the word Matt, that is my name. So in order to set that up, I now have this beautiful condition wizard right here. So basically when I scroll over, I can say select text2 right here. I'm going to make sure it's equal to, and then I'll just type in a value, in this case Matt. And now RackForms automatically creates our condition code for us. What's even better is we can actually apply multiple conditions as well. So let's say I want it to be Matt, or let's say I want it to be equal to Steve. So only if Matt or Steve fill out this form do I actually want to send the email. Of course, we have other operators. We can do less than, greater than, and we even have some custom logic for checkboxes, which allows us to be very specific about what our confirmation condition is. With RackForms, it's all about saving you time, yet giving you powerful, incredible features to use. One of those cool features that we have are called bucket repeaters. So bucket repeaters are simply elements that we can drag inside of what we call buckets that the user can then repeat at runtime. So for example, if I run this form, my user can now repeat this group of elements right here. Now, our new feature is that, generally speaking, we want to do something with these repeated items. And it used to have to be that we'd have to hand code the SQL by hand to actually create that logic. Well, no longer, in RackForms, we automatically do it for you. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click and select MySQL for my SQL Plus Automator. I then get my standard interface right here, my SQL Plus Automator Wizard. I'm going to put in a sample name, so I'll call this Bucket Sample 2. And then without changing anything else, I'm just going to go ahead and click Table and add SQL Plus Insert Item. I then have to shuffle these guys right here, so my standard items insert first. But then when I run my form, notice I didn't have to do any coding. I can go ahead and add new bucket items. So let's say we'll add Kevin here. And when I hit submit now, RackForms has automatically created, again, the database entries so that when I refresh my table list right here, I have my bucket sample 2. Here's my first field, and then here are those fields from the bucket. Now, of course, these are actually related back to our first table, so I could perform an SQL join on this right here to say that for every entry, here are the bucket items that I came in. And we even add an entry timestamp for good measure, and again, you don't have to configure that at all. We just did that for you. So taken together, it is an incredibly powerful feature, and it's gotten much, much easier to now use with custom SQL.